Something interesting happened over at CNN, and it's turned into a controversy, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Clarissa Ward is considered a star reporter over at CNN. She's been there many years. She was at Fox for a short time, and she is doing reporting on Syria and what's happened in the wake of Bashar al-Assad being chased out of the country to Russia and this new Islamist group taking over, like the kinder, gentler al-Qaeda. And she was patrolling through the streets as in her reportorial role and says that she came upon a Bashar al-Assad prison facility with one of these new, quote unquote, reformed al-Qaeda types with her, and that they went into this prison cell and there's a prisoner who is being held by Bashar al-Assad. And here's my interview with him. We got him out. We gave him some water and he had a bite of food and we stuck a mic in his face and this is extraordinary. And now in the wake of this interview, which got all sorts of plaudits all over the internet, people, oh my God, she's amazing, what she did, blah, blah, blah. Now some people are raising questions about whether she was misled. I think that's the most charitable thing I've seen on there. Some have suggested she may have been part of the misleading. I doubt that. But I don't know. I don't know what's happening here, and I'm not even sure there is a story, but I'm going to bring it to you because it's getting some steam.
I haven't seen the clips.
I'll show you. The Mediaite was one of the places that did a rather lengthy piece. They watch our business and reporters and raise questions about reports like this. There's a guy named Charlie Nash who raised some questions about the piece, and I'm going to show it to you. And then there's a filmmaker named Hassan Akkad who has been detained twice in Syria, and he has got some doubts about this video. All right, let me show you the first clip. This is part one when they find this guy under a blanket. It's high drama. You can see Clarissa's a little dramatic herself, and I will say seems to insert herself into the story. Watch this.
It's one of many secret prisons across the city.
I can't tell though, it might just be a blanket, but it's the only cell that's locked.
The guard makes us turn the camera off while he shoots the lock off the cell door. We go in to get a closer look. It's still not clear if there is something under the blanket.
Oh, it moved. Is there someone there? I thought I saw it move. Is someone there? Or is it just a blanket? I don't know.
I think it's someone. Hello?
Okay, I just moved.
Yeah.
He tells the fighter he's from the city of Homs and has been in the cell for 3 months.
Okay, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
He clutches my arm tightly with both hands.
Okay. Does anyone have any water? Water.
Okay, so here's what people are pointing out. He's pretty clean for a guy who's been in a prison cell for how many months? 3 plus months?
3 months.
3 months without food or water for 4 days. What we see on that video is no waste at all in the prison cell. And no trash.
No bucket, no facilities.
No bucket, right? And we see a man who's still under the blanket, even though he's just heard somebody shoot off the alleged lock on his cell. Still under there. Okay, maybe he's hiding. We see Clarissa Ward, who speaks, according to her, Arabic, only speaking in English in Syria. Okay, don't know why that happened. And this guy, Hassan Akkad, says the following. I was detained twice in Syria. I think this is staged. CNN should investigate. Happy to be proven wrong. Individuals are never locked in communal cells. Cells look too clean. No discarded clothes, bags of bread, bottles of water, other blankets. And he has too much energy for someone who had no water for 5 days. This is what the cells in Syrian prisons typically look like, Hugh. We pulled this from one that was farther north. I mean, you can barely see the ground. There's so much debris and trash. I don't know, but here's what I believe. I doubt Clarissa Ward, who's a respected reporter, would stage this whole thing. But I do think there's a possibility she and the other media celebrating this moment are not being skeptical enough about it being staged for her.
Yeah. Do you remember the fellow from Hamas who ended up being a star in video after video where they staged the death of young people? And he became kind of an internet sensation because he was really good at pretending to be a victim again and again and again. And it's turned out to be a tried and true tactic of the Islamist resistance, wherever it pops up, to stage manage victimization videos. I don't know if this is true. I don't know, Clarissa. I doubt any reporter would set this up because the danger of your career, it would be an existential destruction of your career if you stage that. Are you insufficiently suspicious of it against the backdrop of what you've seen in other Syrian prisons? Perhaps, because if I were the CNN editor, I might have raised these questions interspersed with the actual reporting. Don't you think that would have been safer to raise doubts about the possibility you had been punked?
Used.
Because reporters are punked all the time. In talk radio, we have a 6-second delay because people call up all the time and punk us, and then you dump them when they go off in their own little, Howard Stern's people used to do this to every other radio show.
Yes, Baba Booey.
Yeah, and so you always had a delay because people are in the business of punking people. And I just think they've got to be very careful when they corroborate everything.
Here's the second clip where they're now outside of the prison and she's interviewing him, which, you know, I can, like, some people are like, I don't get it. Why aren't you getting him to a hospital? But journalists are often heartless like that. She's not alone in that approach. Most of us would, you know, we want the story and then he can go to prison, but here, or to the hospital. Here it is.
After 3 months in a windowless cell, he can finally see
Look
the
how
sky.
clean he is.
Oh God, the light, he says. Oh God, there is light. Like, the fighter hands him something to eat. He can barely lift it to his mouth. But his body can't handle it.
Okay, you're okay.
His captors fled during the fall of Damascus,
She's holding
leaving
him,
him with
rubbing
no
his back.
food or water. That was at least 4 days ago. The rebel tells him there's no more army, no more prisons, no more checkpoints. Are you serious, he says? Surya Harra. Syria is free, he tells him. It's the first time he has heard those words. As a paramedic arrives, the shock sets in.
Jake, I have to say, I have been doing this job for nearly 20 years now, and that really was one of the most extraordinary moments that I have ever witnessed.
And folks pointing out online how clean the man looks, the jacket, the pants, the fingernails, like, it's just, and does he have the right energy level for somebody who hasn't had food or water in almost 5 days? I don't know, but I think that there should be an investigation by CNN just to make sure they have not been used by an organization trying to look like heroes, notwithstanding their own controversial behaviors.
It's either a great scoop or a great dupe. It's one or the other. She either gets a Pulitzer for being on the ground and being willing to go in a risky place, or there's going to be a Hall of Shame trophy here because it'll be a great dupe. What I am most suspicious of, 3 months in an Assad prison, you would expect manifestations of cruelty, not merely being hungry and thirsty. 5 days without water is pretty bad. You could probably barely move. I did note there was a story the other day that an 11-year-old girl survived 3 days at sea between, she was journeying from Sierra Leone to Italy, and her boat capsized off of Tunisia before the first Italian, and 44 people died and she lived. So miracles happen. She had hypothermia when she came out of the water. but you can tell when people have been under stress. I don't see, did you see any wounds, any scratches?
No.
Any bleeding?
No. And there's one other weird thing, potentially, it depends on your opinion, where in her exchange with Jake Tapper, who was asking her about this, she offers one additional detail. Take a listen to SOT 8.
We don't know where Adul Khurban is now. He got into that ambulance. We offered to give him our phones to call his family, but as you can see in that moment, he was in a state of profound shock. He wasn't able to collect himself to the point where he was able to get in touch with his family.
Possible.
Possible.
But
you wouldn't want to call your family first thing out of captivity after 3-4 months, and you're so shocked you can't make. Okay, it's possible, right? But all these are just like that's what led to the Mediaite piece and to this. In her
favor. Who stands to benefit from this? Because I really don't think Clarissa Ward would stage it. So who stands to benefit from staging it? The guy who worked for Hamas was trying to generate international pressure against Israel. Well, who are they trying to generate international pressure against? Assad's gone. So who wins with it?
But it works for them to look like they are the kinder, gentler, that oh my God, Bashar al-Assad is even worse than you knew. This poor man, he's been under there. And we're talking about it. It went everywhere. So much coverage about how, what an evil man this Bashar al-Assad is and how the new captors, well, not captors, but the new sheriffs are in town.
Is really good. Team Joel calls in and gives water and cell phones to prisoners. Okay, that's a potential motive.
I mean, you'd have to kick those tires as a journalist. Again, being used. That's the biggest thing you have to worry about in this kind of situation is being used, being turned into journalistic propaganda. And perhaps Clarissa Ward saw that coming from a mile away and made sure that wasn't happening. But I would like to hear more. For those of us who have been holding our breath for the past several months, waiting for this election, we can finally exhale. Work can now be done on the major issues this country's facing, one of the most significant being our national debt. The fact is our nation's broke, and that debt is a house of cards that cannot be quickly dismantled. So the strategy for you probably remains the same when it comes to your investments. You might want to diversify your savings. This is why I want to tell you about Birch Gold. So many things are out of our control, out of our president's control, so it can be important to have a safe haven for your savings. Birch Gold Group can help you convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold. And the best news is it does not cost you 1 cent out of pocket. Text MK to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold. Plus, right now you will receive a free 1-ounce silver eagle for every $5,000 purchased. Protect your savings with Birch Gold and text MK to 989898 to claim your eligibility for free silver today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.